which may kind of be the situation in America these days. We have, the so-called war on drugs, is this phrase been bandied about for a while. We have made lots of arrests, we send lots of people, lots of investigation, lots of money thrown into this, which is a potential bias, by the way. And this isn't a proven bias, but there's a potential bias amongst people who make their livelihoods hunting down drug dealers. There's a potential bias for them to support the laws that support their livelihood. You know, if if that's how you fed your family, you might be reluctant to, let's say, acknowledge the happenings in Portugal and say, wow, maybe we should change the drug laws and also put me out of a job. Potentially. And that is not proven. Basically. So Portugal was doing the standard thing. Lots of cops stuff, as we have in America. As in America, by the way, that there's been no obvious victory of the war on drugs. There have been, many times when we get down a certain drug dealer, we discover some large stash. A lot of people get arrested. A lot of people are in prisons. Our prison per capita rate is ridiculous. I think it's higher than China. And per capita, you understand. A lot of people in jail, which puts a lot of jailers in business, I'm sure. That's great, but there's a lot of money we're spending on all these things, and a lot of freedom being taken away, and you could say maybe they deserve to have the freedom taken away. Yes, but just potentially, if we could discourage drug use somehow, and then the people weren't on drugs, and not, causing these negatives to society, and also not in jail, and also we don't have to pay for that, and also, would that be good in every which way? So we have a policy in America, trying to just use brute force, as it were, get rid of drug usage, and it's not really working. You could make the argument, maybe if it wasn't for the war on drugs, it would be worse. Like, drugs would be up here, and because of the war, it's down here, which is a lot higher than 0, but it would have been higher. Maybe it would have been. It's kind of hard to prove that. It's kind of hard to know. So again, in Portugal, I'm getting around to this, they had huge drug problem, right? And in 2001, they said, all right, let's do the exact opposite of what we're doing. We will decriminalize holding the possession of drugs, of pretty much all drugs, marijuana, cocaine, all of it. I'm not sure what their laws are on the selling of drugs or various, but just the basic regular guy who has just some drugs with him, decriminalized. Small point. You may have heard of decriminalization versus legalization. Apparently, the difference is a technicality. Decriminalization is, it's still technically illegal, but there is no penalty, or we won't enforce the law. And legalization is, it's not illegal. It's been made legal, and thus we're not enforcing the law because there's no law to enforce. Which is very, very similar. But anyway, so here's the deal. If you get caught with drugs, your only punishment is this. You go before this little panel. It's got, I think, a doctor and a social worker and, a lawyer or something. And you just go there, and you go before them for, I don't know how long this is. Maybe it's an hour, or maybe it's 10 minutes. But it's not a jail sentence. You're here for certainly less than a day, I'm pretty sure. Because it's not a punishment. You go to this panel. They tell you, hey, we have rehab programs available that we'll pay for them, everything. Just as, normally when you go to jail, the government pays for your jail. They pay for the upkeep. They pay for your food, things like that. They pay for your medicine, as a matter of fact. So instead of paying to send you to jail, we're going to pay to send you to rehab, if you want. If you want. You're not forced. Nothing is forced, really, except to just show up and listen to these people talk for however small number of minutes. And if you feel like, no, I don't want to do it, you can walk away. You can walk away. So that was 2001. They've had that same law since then. And drug usage has gone down. Not up. Not even stayed the same. It's gone down. Compared to everyone else, compared to statistical, how Europe is doing as a whole and how Portugal compares to them, the percentage of people that have tried drugs in various age groups. I think there was one small blip in something like the late teens age group, that there was a slight increase in just marijuana usage, but decreases in the rest of it. And every other age group, with every drug, with everything went down. This is interesting. I mean, this is a modern country, you know. This is happening right now. This is in the real world. This is not some theoretical thing. Someone, chugged some numbers. Well, maybe it would work out like this. This is happening. And in a country that had major drug problems. This isn't like, oh, the Portugal people, the Portuguese, they don't do drugs, just as a cultural thing. Like, no, they had drug problems, and then they changed the law, and then less drugs. How does that work out? Well, maybe that, people get addicted to drugs, particularly the hard drugs. People would rather not be addicted, honestly. It costs them incredible amounts of money, energy, time to be addicted. All this various health problems that come up because of various drugs. But people generally, in the normal laws, can't get help. If you want to stop being addicted, what are you going to do? You have to admit that you're addicted. And since you can't get addicted without trying the substance, you have to admit that you broke the law, which will, sort of send you to jail. No one wants to go to jail or pay penalties or do anything, right? So they don't admit it. They keep it hidden. They keep it hidden from the government, certainly. They keep it hidden from other people as much as they can, in case anyone should actually, find out from a friend of a friend and eventually get investigated and then, it goes underground. And then, of course, when it's underground, then there's a potential for crime and, if someone, wants his drug money that you owe him, if you owe your dealer some money, then you don't really have legal recourse here, right? If that drug dealer says to you, okay, give me my money, or I'll shoot you, what are you going to do? Call the cops? Hey, that guy says I need to give him his money. Well, what's with the money for? Oh, for drugs. Oh, crap. You're sending yourself to jail, right? People are on drugs, the hard drugs particularly, because they get addicted. But they can't get out of the addiction unless they get help. I mean, you could theoretically go cold turkey on things, but it really, really, really hard to do that, and it really, really helps to have outside assistance. And the government provides that assistance. The government ends up spending less money actually assisting you not be addicted than to punish you for being addicted. So it says this study, they recently did a study of everything that's happened in Portugal these last few years. How drug rates have gone down. Because the people who are addicted eventually end up either getting caught and brought to this panel, or even just calling up the government of their own free will, saying, hey, I think I'm addicted. Can you help? Can you please help me? I got to get off the drugs. The government says, oh yeah, we got a whole thing for that. And it's entirely, whatever you want to do with it. Nothing is forced. Nothing like, you go to jail for a year and then maybe a rehab program, which we have some of that in America, We have some, you can get punished into rehab, or you can have rehab and jail combined, but this is really free the way they have it in Portugal. Someone's caught with drugs. Would you like to go to rehab? No. Oh, okay, walk away. And they get caught 2 or 3 more times, and eventually, if drugs really are that bad, and they are that bad, at least the hard drugs are, cocaine, etc., eventually the average person figures, oh crap, I'm screwing up my life. And the next time, they get caught or whatever, and they're brought before the panel, I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll try rehab. And I go to rehab. And rehab is fairly effective. And then once you're out of rehab, you're not buying drugs anymore. Remember that thing with, we send people to jail, and then what? Well, eventually they get out of jail. And they're probably still addicted, And they get back on drugs again. And heck, half the time their drugs get smuggled into jail somehow, It's very interesting. And this is real-world stuff, man. This is right now. It's happening. Who am I to stand against that?